Thank you everyone for coming. We will get started. We have a very special webinar. We have Chaplain Colonel Michael Shellman. He is the Military District of Washington Senior Chaplain for the Army. So we were very pleased to have him here today to talk about his journey through the Chaplain Corps and to answer any questions that some of you all might have. Let me give you just kind of an overview of how this is going to go. We'll have a time of him sharing his journey through the Chaplain Corps and some of the things that he has learned throughout the years. And if you have questions for Chaplain Shellman that you'd like to have him answer, if you could put those in the comment box, we would really appreciate it. And then towards the end, we will make sure that we save some time to ask him those questions. But as you are hearing him share from his life and something just pops up that you want to ask him about, just go ahead and put that in the comments and we will try to get to many of those as possible. So Chaplain Shellman, thank you so much for being our guest today and for doing this. Really appreciate it. And Chaplain Shellman is, as I said, he is one of our 06 chaplains, our senior leaders in the Chaplain Corps. He has had an amazing career and he has done some amazing things. He has served in some of the hardest places in the United States Army. He has served in special operations. He was the first Special Forces command chaplain. I had the privilege of working with him several years ago. Just a great senior chaplain and mentor. He also served in the 75th Ranger Regiment. So he is one of our Ranger tabbed chaplains. So he has been through that unique crucible of an experience. Not only that, but he is a paratrooper, a master parachutist. So he has had if I could ask everybody just to make sure that they keep their mics muted, that'd be great. So he is as I was saying, he is a master parachutist, which means that he not only falls out of airplanes, but he throws people out of airplanes. So he has had that unique experience. So Chaplain Shellman, welcome. Thank you for being a part of this. We are just so blessed to have you here today.
Well, thank you so much. And let me say this, good morning. And I think it would be good morning to everyone. You're probably on this side of the ocean, and it's good to be here. And you'll see my voice reflection and tone easily that I get excited about talking about the Chaplain Corps. And I get really excited to talk about what a chaplain does. And I love telling my story, but I don't call it my story, really. It's God's story. And God works through all of us and to accomplish the mission of providing religious support. So thank you very much, Chaplain McCraney, for inviting me. And I'm looking forward to this.
Well, let's get started. So you started us off for us. It's not your story, it's God's story. So tell us how God moved you in this journey to the Chaplain Corps.
Oh, absolutely. It took a while. As you look at me, you probably have noticed right away, I'm not the youngest guy in the Chaplain Corps. I actually turned 61 here real soon, and mandatory retirement's right around the corner for me because of my age, 62. I came in 2 months away from the age of 40. And but I had wrestled with this idea of being a military chaplain and for a good amount of time. And I just about had all the prerequisites made, concerning seminary training, local church experience. Right out of high school, I went to Bible college. Right from Bible college, I got my master's degree. I went out on the East Coast. I taught in a large Christian school, coached football, baseball, and I was a youth pastor. And I did that for about 6 years. During that time period, I was in Northern Virginia. It's so not too far away, from the Pentagon and everything else that we see, in this great part of the country. My wife and I used Monday nights to go into the mall area and see the monuments and so forth. And very patriotic person. My wife and I just love our country, and we just saw all our people in our church who are serving. And I often thought to myself, boy, I wish I could be a part of that team. I wish I could have a jersey too and to serve. But it wasn't God's timing yet for me. From there, I went to work at a Bible college. I was there for 6 years. My father-in-law was the president of the college. He asked me to come and help him with recruitment. Watch out, Matt. And he also had me teaching some courses and traveling. But again, it just didn't allow myself the opportunity to pursue that. I was able to knock out some more courses and work towards my Master of Divinity. So God was working. And then I became a pastor in Oak Ridge, Tennessee. And it was during that time that I was presented by the mission, by the opportunity of the military chaplaincy by one good friend, and I believe he's on the line right now. I saw his name, and by another individual, and they just kept on tugging. Hey, Mike, you need to really consider the military chaplaincy. You can do this as reservist or National Guard chaplain. And so that's what I did for a short period of time. And so I met the requirements. I had to put an exception to policy in because of my age. It was a miracle. And they signed that waiver, and they allowed this old man to come in to the military. But then it took a while for the Lord to work with my heart and to get to the point where he was showing me to go active duty. And it wasn't something that I woke up one morning, here's what I want to do. It was something I wanted to do, but it had to be God's perfect timing for everything to line up. And it was this miraculous in my life. God clearly showed me that he wanted me to go active duty. So again, I submit a packet, and the session board met, and I got the phone call saying, congratulations, Reverend Shellman. You have been selected for active duty service in the Army. And from there, the rest is history.
Now, how old were you again when you came on active duty?
When I came on active duty, I was 39 years old, and frankly, just 2 months away from age 40.
Okay. So then how old would that make you when you went through Ranger School?
Okay. People like to talk about that because I think they like to be inspired because, like you're an overcomer. But I was 45. I was 45 years of age when I went through Ranger School.
Okay. Wow. Yeah, a friend of mine was asking me about that yesterday. He's 40 years old, and we just put him on active duty, and he's talking about we're going to Ranger School in a few months. And I pointed to you as an example. I said, well, hey, I know this guy, great chaplain. No, but I couldn't.
The pathetic example, and from that, there's at the Pentagon, the J3 for all operations in the Pentagon. General Mingus, he was the battalion commander when I went through Ranger School for the first phase. And as he was looking out, he says, hey, I know there's an old man in here. And where are you, Pops? Raise your hand. And since then, I've been given the nickname Pops. But hey, if you're given a nickname that's all right, go with it. So I've been kind of like the Pops of the Chaplain Corps, I think, for my career.
That is awesome, sir. That is very inspiring to a lot of folks that are looking at going Ranger School, especially as chaplains, since we come in a little bit older. Sure. So you've had just an amazing career. I noticed a few months back there was this picture that was circulating on the internet of you providing the invocation. It's a beautiful picture with President Biden in the background, with the Secretary of Defense and the Chairman of the Joint Chief of Staff. So you have done some amazing things, some high profile things. What out of all of that has been your favorite assignment? What's been your favorite thing that you've gotten to do?
In this current assignment or previous ones?
Previous, all your time in your career. What is that?
Oh, absolutely. And that's a real easy to answer. Each assignment affords you the opportunity to conduct this awesome ministry, things that you did not realize that you would be able to do. And if I try to put my finger on just one assignment, that I would say that outshines the rest of them. I couldn't do it. It's been each assignment. But looking back though, I would say this: you never forget your first assignment. It's just like in ministry, your first ministry assignment for people who have pastored, your first pastorate. It's like the idea, this is where I, kind of cut my teeth. And that was, my first assignment was pre 9/11. Because after 9/11, a lot of our ministry challenges and opportunities were very similar. So I'll never forget my first assignment, but each assignment has afforded myself the opportunity to do something that I never thought I was going to be able to do. And I'm talking, when I was a pastor of a local church, coming into the military and just being able to provide religious support in that environment. I use the word culture a lot. Each unit has a different unit culture. You learn that culture. God put you in that culture. I wrote a paper years ago about this, and it's just like you're a missionary. And so you move on from one assignment to the next assignment, and you've got to learn to be another missionary because they're learning their culture, and they have a unique capability, perhaps, that they provide to the military. And now you're part of that, and you get to team up with them. It's awesome.
So you've gotten to experience a lot of different units, a lot of different experiences within those units. I'm sure everything hasn't been always perfect and rosy. Have you had any unique challenges along the way? Things that kind of a struggle?
Good question. I smile right away because I know exactly what it was. And you're not going to believe this. It was day one. It was day one for me in the military. Listen to my story. Day one for me was September 11th, 2000. That's when I was activated as a military chaplain. That's when I reported. It is what it is, but I'll never forget when I reported day one and to the chaplain's office. They took a look at me, and one person who is a senior chaplain, he simply said this: "Oh no, another old chaplain." Our civilian home hadn't sold yet, and so my wife and kids, they were about 3 hours away. I was staying in a hotel. I'll be honest with you, I went back out to I was driving a little pickup truck at the time, and I just kind of started kicking the ground a little bit, and it just didn't go well for me for that, just an initial greeting. The reality is I did show up as a little bit older chaplain, but I let that get to me. I really did, and I thought, is this the way it's going to be in the chaplaincy? If I stay in, for the duration. And I went back to my hotel where I was staying at, and the Lord just really worked on my heart. And I believe He really showed me this: you're always going to have challenges, no matter what you do. It's not going to be perfect, and they're not going to roll out the red carpet for you. And so I realized, the reality is that individual is right. And he said, I have to change your assignment because now I realize how old you are. But that's all right. And so I was put in a support position right away. But I believe, looking back, that's right where I needed to be for that first. It was just for 9 months where they had me until they moved me to a different assignment. And so for me, it was releasing the realization that, you're an old chaplain coming in, but you can still do it. And that's when God really shared with me, Mike, you can still do it. You can still do it. You can still do it. I do think I got the attention of everyone, though. I had been at Fort Campbell. That's air assault, by the way. And they have what's called an air assault school. And I was put at the air assault school, I think it was 3 weeks after I in-processed. And anyways, they give a special presentation and a plaque to the person who wins the 12-mile road march. And so I had the privilege of being a recipient of that. And so I think I got some people's attention that don't look at the outside, don't look at the age and things like that. But I've always said this, look at their heart. Take a good hard look at their heart too. Good question.
So, so now you are in the DC area. What exactly is your job, and what's the scope of that? What are the things that you do there?
Sure, we are the Joint Task Force for the National Capital Region, And normally we're a joint. We used to be a joint force headquarters. Only stood up as a task force when needed, when our country needs us, as we protect the nation's capital, and or if there's a ceremonial event and something big like an inauguration. So we had an inauguration this past year, so we were stood up as a task force, and the determination they're going to remain and keep us now as a task force. And so where I work, it's joint. One of my deputies is a Navy 05 chaplain, and as I go out and circulate and see different people, it's just to see the jointness. And so it's just not Army. And so what we normally tell people to try to, it could be complex, but we're the face of our nation, the military face of our nation. And so we conduct a lot of ceremonial support, the honor guard, the President's honor guard. I'm sure you're familiar with the Tomb of the Unknowns. We have the bicentennial celebration of that 100-year this week. And so we're heavily engaged in that. And then at Arlington National Cemetery, we provide support to that, myself supervising the chaplains. They're at Arlington National Cemetery. General Colin Powell, as you know, passed away. His ceremony was this past Friday. And so one of our chaplains is the one that conducted the graveside ceremony support for that. And then also we have military installations and garrisons in the National Capital Region. And so I help providing support to those garrison chaplains. And so I had the privilege of meeting with them on used to be a bi-weekly, and now a monthly basis, going out and seeing them, and also seeing the different units. And we have about we have 9 units that we help oversee, and so most of them have chaplains. We do have some units that do not have chaplains, so that affords us the opportunity for me to, even as a senior leader chaplain at Pearl, I get to go out and be a battalion chaplain some days, and just to go down and be with the troops and support them.
So it's, a lot of times I think when people think of chaplains, they think of just being assigned to a unit like that, battalion level chaplain. But there, especially in military district of Washington, you have a lot of unique assignments, like you were just mentioning the serving as an Arlington cemetery chaplain. What is that like? What are those assignments like?
Sure. And so our Arlington National Cemetery chaplains, of course, we have Army, we have Air Force, and we have Navy. And of course, they look for us for support, but mainly I just work with on the Army side. And we'll have about 16 to 18 services per week. And so with the chaplains that we have who are assigned there, they're constantly conducting funeral services. Now we have chapel service. We only can have 4, no more per day. And then we have the graveside service. And so our chaplains can be conducting 3 up to 4 services a day. And then what they do when they're not conducting those services, we're meeting by way of phone call to the families, reaching out to them, and getting as much information that we can from the family. Of course, we're providing comfort and care over the phone, and then also information that will assist us to make that ceremony for them very personable and one that they will not forget. And they're doing that all day long. And then we, one day out of the week, we want them to have one admin day, because it's called care for the caregiver. When you're just pouring your heart out each and every day, we need to take care of ourselves. So just not admin work, but also, to let our soul, our spirit, our mind be refreshed. And so we're ready, to give it our all again. And then also in the National Capital Region, there's opportunities for us to conduct ceremonial prayers. Just like our office on this coming Thursday, we have, I believe, 4 prayers that we're conducting for Veterans Day, World War II Memorial, World War I, the Vietnam and the Korean Memorial. And I'll be conducting 3 of those, and one of my deputies will be conducting another one. And our Arlington chaplains get an opportunity to assist us too, because we get quite a bit, and so it's quite an honor to provide those ceremonial prayers here in the National Capital Region.
I had the privilege of doing a graveside there at Arlington, burying one of our Green Berets when I was in 3rd group, and just a very humbling experience to see. And I can't imagine being able to do that every day, or having that responsibility to do that. So it's an amazing opportunity for some of our folks. So when you look at the Chaplain Corps, right? So you are now in a senior leader position here. Of course, you've been in a senior leader position for a while. You're a great help and mentor to me. Can you tell me what you see the future of the Chaplain Corps looking like as you look back at where we've been and where we're going? What does the future look like for us?
Well, we certainly don't have a crystal ball. I'm gonna answer that, Matt, and say one thing. I'll never forget when I went through my initial chaplain training, and we're getting towards the end of it, and we had a senior chaplain come out and address us and ask questions, similar to the ones that you just asked. And he said this: in this formation, we will have chaplains that will be sent into war to provide religious support. I'm standing in formation and then thinking to myself, it's probably not going to happen. It's probably not going to happen. He stated, if history repeats itself, he said, we will go to war again. And we're going to need capable chaplains to be with our service members, providing religious support in combat, providing religious support back home to families. I said I was activated on September 11th, 2000 by the Army. And my story, which is not my story, it's God's story, but I always share this. I think God activated a whole bunch of us on September 11th, 2001. We didn't see that coming, did we?
Right.
We went to war. Now we're in 2 different theaters. The surge. Quite a bit of deployments have taken place, in the past. And when I look to the future, we just don't know. We don't have that many deploying right now. But we just don't know what the challenge is and where the future holds for that. But I believe with all my heart that God is raising up. He's bringing to us just capable chaplains and religious affairs specialists who are going to be able to meet those challenges of potential future deployments, and also with the challenges that we see back home. From just here in the National Capital Region, when we're conducting training, or I'm out just visiting with our chaplains and religious affairs specialists. I tell you what, God has given me a real peace in my heart that we have very capable young men and women who are going to be taking us, meeting the challenges and providing the care and comfort that's needed to our nation, our military. And so I really feel we're in capable hands as we continue to focus on what's most important and always be ready and available to provide ministry whenever it's needed.
That's awesome, sir. I appreciate that. So in just a second, for everybody that is joining us here, if you're logged into the Zoom call, if you have questions for Chaplain Shellman, some specific things, maybe you want to know what Ranger School is like, maybe you want to know what it's like at Arlington, or anything specific that comes to mind, hey, please put it in the comments, and we'll get to those in just a minute. But be thinking of those questions. So let's talk a little bit about you've had a lot of supervisory experience with chaplains, right? So you were the
Mhm.
first Special Forces command chaplain, and you had to put up with knuckleheads like me, uh,
Oh,
all the young
take
chaplains.
it easy.
Uh, you had all of the groups that you had to be responsible for and to mentor and coach. Um, so what do you think makes it? Well, let me take a step back. How does the Army decide who to bring in as a chaplain? Like, what is the Army looking for characteristic wise?
Um, from what I have seen, um, what the Army is looking for. And may I say all this? I've been on boards at different units when we're looking at chaplains and to bring them into that organization. And here are some things I think are really important. What commanders are looking for, what the Army is looking for, and it's pretty simple. It really is. This is something that we should make very hard. But first of all, I would say this is that they're looking for just someone who's very authentic. And yeah, our service members, our families, and so forth, our commanders, they can sniff you out. They know if they're going to know if you're the real deal or not. And just a person who's really authentic, humble, but yet confident, and the capability and what they bring, and how they can provide religious support to people, but just also the idea of just, which I have found being an Army chaplain, we do more one-on-one than addressing the large mass. If you're looking for a big pulpit ministry throughout your career, you may be disappointed at one time or another. Now, I've had the opportunity, obviously, to preach in chapel and different things, but I have found in the military chaplaincy, mainly the Army, it's been a lot of one-on-one, and they will seek your counsel. They will seek your care if you really come across as an authentic, individual. And then I'm going to carry on with that same thought. The next one is simply this: you need to be available. Need to be available. It's not like one of these, and don't know if you're a type of individual if you're just checking the clock. Here I'm reporting to duty, and now I've got to exit. If I'm helping in the chapel, the only time you're ever going to see me is once every other month when I required to preach, and then you're not going to see me anymore. The idea is that we've got to have people who are available. Yes, we give time to be with your family. We need to provide time for care for the caregiver. But the idea is being available for our service members, being available for our soldiers and their families in their time of need. And when is their time of need? Sometimes it's not convenient to us, but maybe we get that phone call. Maybe we're asked to come in and provide the care. At that time, they say the best ability can be availability, and that's something I've always had. And I'm viewing people, for assignments, viewing people for the military chaplaincy. Are they that type where they are, they're going to give it their heart? Yes, we know the balance of being with family and providing care for ourselves to be refreshed and so forth. But are they going to be there and give it their all? And then I'm going to use the third A. Notice these are all A's here. You get A's in my report card if you do these things. And then being accepting, because we come across people in times of great need, and not condemning, but coming across in the spirit of love, care, and compassion, and they will know if you're a caring person, and they'll know if you're a loving person. And the people who have a big heart of love for God and for others, I've seen them excel in the chaplain corps. I've seen them excel at the unit level. I've seen them excel as a leader. And so available, authentic, accepting. Those are just three A's I thought of. Matt, I hope that helped.
I appreciate that, sir. Yeah, just that being available. I remember just a quick story. when I was doing a memorial ceremony, and you were there to support me, and there was something wrong with a bugler didn't show up, and you were running around behind the scenes with my guys trying to get it taken care of. Like, Matt, don't worry about this. You focus on taking care of your people. Let me go handle this. So, and I appreciate that. As a senior chaplain, you're running around trying to handle this issue for me. You were available for me as a supervisory chaplain. But I just thought about that.
I didn't show up with a trumpet and try to do it though, did I?
No, you found somebody to do it though. You were running around trying to find the backup because the bugler didn't show up.
Right.
Yeah, it was. But no, just the availability and that willingness to support. I think it makes a big difference at all different levels.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we don't need lone rangers out there, and that's also so key. That we provide all of our people all the support they need so they can be successful. That's a good point.
So what advice do you have for, well, I'll give you an example here. I got a guy that is logged on here today, Jason Domingo. I just told him yesterday that he got picked up for active duty, and he is 40 years old, actually. What advice might you have for him, for some of these ones that are just starting out on active duty, especially a guy like Jason, who's, I don't want to call him old because we're the same age, but what advice would you have for him?
Hey, good question. Right away, I go to Joshua chapter 1, verse number 9. I'm a chaplain, right? A man of faith, and whatever your faith is too. I encourage you always to refer to your faith in times like this. And I would say immediately, be strong and be courageous. Just like I said, you're gonna meet some challenges. My challenge, I mentioned age, but number two, I felt extremely inadequate. I did not come from a military background. When I was during my initial chaplain training, I looked to my left, looked to my right, and a lot of them had served in the military already. Now, I gained from having them there is just not from instruction, but also from their experiences and so forth. But still, when I went to that first duty assignment, I didn't take those guys and gals with me. All right, it was just me. And so there were times when I felt inadequate, but I just really had to ask the Lord to please help me to be strong and to be courageous. And so here's what I recommend: learn as much as you can. If I could have put another A and actually had this written down, apprentice, you've got to have that attitude. You can't have the attitude, I know it all. I used to pastor, or I have a wealth of experience. The idea is that we're learning and we're gaining knowledge, we're gaining information. I would tell, when I was the supervisory chaplain, I'm working with you when I went to the different areas and visited people, I just said, each and every morning, it's just like the Discovery Channel, when we turn it on, and we just need to discover more people, their needs, and who we are, and how we can deliver, that religious support. And so, don't be afraid to raise your hand. Don't be afraid to seek someone out. Your supervisory chaplain is key. Is key to all of this. And ask your supervisory chaplain for assistance. And there's nothing wrong when you're with your command, to ask them good, solid questions. But yet, be confident, be strong, and be courageous with the religious support that you will deliver. You'll do well.
So thank you for that, sir. I know I could see him kind of nodding his head there, and he put in the comments, "I'm 2 months from 40." So no offense.
Oh, there we go. Woo, I love it.
So did have another question here for you. So how old were your kids when you transitioned to active duty in the Chaplain Corps, and how did you overcome some of the challenges that came with active duty life and deployments and all that?
Sure. Let me go back just a little bit. I didn't mention this at the very beginning. I remember I said it took me a little bit to move in the direction of active duty. And that little bit was family. There's principles, my priorities that are very important. I know with you too, they're the same way. But first of all is my faith, and then number two is family. Number three is freedom. Our country, our service, and what we do. If you're just wondering, number four is fitness. That's always worked well for me in the military. Always being fit. And I'm on a roll, so I just got to say the fifth one again, since I mentioned the four. Otherwise, you'll forget this. And please don't forget about the fifth one here. Fun. Did you hear what I said? Fun. And put a smile on your face. The joy of the Lord. It's not fun and games. I know that. But enjoy that. Matt, say it again one more time.
Just how old were your kids when
my kids in? So,
how did you?
So again, being the priority for my family, I didn't decide to go active duty until I got green light go. I'm using jump master terminology. Green light go until we all agreed as a family. And I believe it's a sacred calling. God's clearly showed me that he wanted me on active duty. And he said, how did you get confirmation of that, Chaplain Shellman, when God showed you active duty? When my wife says, hon, I'm ready to go active duty with you. Literally within 15 minutes, I was talking to my endorser. And my kids were right there, and we were all it was a family. We do it as a family. I was a youth pastor. I was a pastor of a church, and our family serves together. I had a daughter who was in fourth grade, a daughter who was in junior high, three daughters, and a daughter who was in ninth grade when I entered active duty service. Now, there's plus and minuses with that, the pros and cons. The pros are simply this: they're established already, and in our family commitment in their life and so forth, and my wife and so forth, being able to help. They're not young, children. There's a little bit of maturity there, and so some aspects it was easier for the Shellman family coming in at a later age. But the other side of it simply was this, which was hard, but my kids understood this. But I deployed a lot, mainly in those beginning years, and I was in the military for 6 years, and I had deployed 5 times already. And just simply this, I'm sure you all would agree with me, but it's hard to miss your kids' high school years. And but I was able to be home. And when my last daughter, and the chaplaincy made sure of that, and so it was her senior year. But I missed a good bit, and that was tough, missing. But I really appreciate how the Chaplain Corps then afforded me the opportunity to try to be close as we could to where my daughters were going to college, just one state away. And so when I came back from the deployment, we knew what we were going to do. Once I took leave, we're gonna gather together as a family, and so that really helped. There you go.
Awesome, thank you for that, sir. I know I know your family loves you. When I saw that picture posted, a very famous picture, it was shared by one of your daughters, and I reached out to her on Facebook. Said, hey, can I share this? Can I share this? And
really?
Yeah. And so, oh, yeah, absolutely. We're so proud of him and everything that he does. So I know your family just loves you to death. So you can tell that you've invested in them quite a bit. So, sir, well, I know you've got another appointment that you have to get to. And just
take your time.
So, if there's anybody out there that are considering a call to the Chaplain Corps and would like to talk to us, please reach out to us. We would love to talk to you. You can send us a message through Facebook. Our recruiters are on here. If you want to type something in, we'd be happy to contact you. This is an amazing ministry, and hopefully Amen. You've seen from Amen. Chaplain Shellman here just how rich the ministry can be.
Amen.
It's just it's an amazing ministry. We do have a couple other questions that just popped up, and I'll give you a chance to answer these, as many as you got. And then when you have to go, you tell me, and I'll ask you to pray for us, and then we'll call it. So how does chaplaincy compare? And this is a very common question. We actually get this a lot. How does chaplaincy in the Army compare with being a local pastor? What are those differences there?
Before we talk about the differences, let's not forget there's a lot of things that are the same, and that's a heart for ministry. You know, it's a calling. So when God called you into the ministry, the local church ministry, in the same calling, I believe that God will give you to go into active duty or National Guard, you know, and or reserve, you know, service too. And so please don't forget that ministry is ministry. Can I just use the example, just like a surgeon? The surgeon does surgery, right? Just as he did in that civilian hospital, as he does as a military hospital. And so let's not think there's a great divide between all of these. Years ago, I think it was after 2 years or 3 years in the Army, recruitment asked me to share in a video my experiences. I was first chaplain deployed in the global war on terrorism, and people found that interesting because he had only been in the military 1 year. So why is he going forward being the task force chaplain? And in my heart, I always said this, you know, God gave me those wonderful experiences, and I understood local church ministry, and now I'm a missionary. So I take my same grounding, I take my same foundation, I take my same pastoral care, and now I'm a missionary to the military. I do have to learn their culture. There's a lot of things I've got to learn, but I'm still going to provide, you know, that pastoral care. Now, the day-to-day response, things that we do and opportunities are going to be different. The military chaplaincy has afforded so many opportunities that touch people right where they're at. I could not do that in local church ministry. I never went to work with them, with my congregants. You know, very seldom did I, fellowships and get-togethers, visit them in their home. But besides that, you know, not too much. But just think about that. The military chaplaincy, you know, we're with them, you know, quite a bit. And that availability I spoke of, you know, just, you know, being there when they need us. Chaplain McCraney mentioned some things about, you know, my assignments and some schools and everything I went to. But guess what? When we have a chaplain there, when there's training going on and there's a chaplain there and you're in a line, you're just standing there and you're an authentic person with a big heart for God and for others, God's going to give you so many opportunities and to touch people wherever they are. And that's what I've enjoyed so much about the Chaplain Corps. Being able to be with people where they're at, good times and through their hard times, and bringing them a message of hope. Amen.
So one last question for you, sir. I think you've kind of inspired Jason here because he's asking if you have any tips specifically for going to Ranger School in his 40s.
Is he the one that's just about 40?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. I'm sorry if my head's pointed this way because my screen's over here. So I see you there, Jason. All right. Hey, just stay in shape. Don't overdo it. You know, I've seen people, they overtrain when they think about, you know, taking it to the next level or doing something else. And just continue to train, just continue to run, to stay in shape in those things. And then just allow God to work through you. I tell people this, and you know, they just kind of look at me like this, like, I don't know if I agree with that. But if God's in it, it's going to happen. And when God opens a door, you know, and he opens the door, sometimes we're hesitant, but then we just got to walk through it. And being strong and courageous and saying, I'm going to give it my best with the talents and gifts and the resources God has given to me, but it's meant to be, it's going to happen. And I get excited when I see people who are willing, when the door is there and it begins to open, and they said, you know what, I'm gonna pursue that. And many times God does grant us the desires of our heart. Sometimes God does close the door. I've had some assignments. Boy, I'd like to do that. I'd like to do this. It seems like every time I've raised my hand and say, this is exactly what I want to do, guess what I've gotten? And I've told people that you might be disappointed. But God has something, that just is for you. He has a jersey for you in that particular unit, and he's going to help you pass the schooling in order to get there. He really is. God bless you, Jason.
Well, sir, thank you again so much for your time this morning. Thank you for being a part of this. We really appreciate it. There's several people that have posted on here. I think there was one person who said he was your senior chaplain back in the day, George Ustra. We've got from Chaplain Hargis saying some just amazing things about you, stuff that I would echo as well. So, sir, thank you for being a part of this. Thank you for inspiring our people and for all the service that you've given to this country, and to soldiers. And I'm going to ask you if you have any closing words for anybody, and then also if you would say a prayer, if you would close us out in prayer for all of these folks that are considering a call to ministry in the Army chaplaincy.
Absolutely. Closing thought is simply this: do not go about this on your own accord, and be that person of faith. Be strong in the Lord. Be in the Word. Grow in the Word. And then also don't forget to, you need others. And so have that senior mentor, have that coach, have that person that's going to partner with you. And you mentioned one name, and on the screen, Chaplain Ustra, I can see your face. Thank you so much for the impact that you have had in my life. He was the one that literally was saying, come on, we're going into the military chaplaincy, and you're coming with us. And I told him on a couple occasions, not yet. But it was time. He was the one I called and says, I think we're ready to go. And I hope you have a person like that you can call upon, just not before you considering, but also as you're in the midst of your military ministry, that you have people that you can call upon, mainly one person that'll help you, assist you, and provide care for the caregiver. Thank you so much, Chaplain McCready, for inviting me. This has been awesome. It would be a privilege to be able to close in a word of prayer. Please join me in prayer. Almighty God, we come before your presence with joy and thanksgiving in our heart. It is the month of November. It's a time, Lord, in which we reflect upon the harvest. We reflect upon a heart full of thanksgiving. But also this week, too, it's also Veterans Day coming around the corner. And it's a time, Lord, in which we can honor those who have served and those who are serving our great nation. What a privilege for me today to be able to take this time, Lord, and just share from my heart your story that you used in me. You've allowed me to do things, Lord, I never thought or even dreamed of. And when I was in my mid-30s, I never thought I would be a military chaplain. And then you just brought people into my life. And then you brought that desire. And then I just saw miraculous things take place, which clearly showed me. It was your call and the peace, Lord, that you've given to me. And then, Lord, when we move by faith and we're strong and courageous, Lord, you just open up ministry opportunities left and right. And we just need to have that attitude each and every day. Here am I, send me. Thank you, Lord. I pray that this has been a helpful time for others, and I pray thy blessing upon all those who attended, and if this has been recorded, all those, Lord, who will see this recording, Lord, and that they would be challenged and encouraged to give our best to you each and every day. In Jesus' name I pray, amen.